All right, and welcome back. I just scared the crap out of my dog by doing that. Welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. I am Bahamut, your caster. On the left-hand side, we have, and it's still actually up. I meant to just do that. We have Hedgie and the Hedgettes, and on the right-hand side, we have Team B. So going into our Infernal Shrines here, we're actually going to see... Okay, cool. My son's on. Genji's going to be banned out here first. Good overall ban. They probably are trying to force out the Anub'arak or the Uther ban at this point. That seems to be a highly contested hero currently. And I mean, there's every right to have that. I mean, Uther's upfront damage and healing is extremely strong, and he combos well into most off healers. And we have seen before that Hedgie and the Hedgettes sometimes like to run like a Tassadar Uther combo. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be banning out on the side of Team B. I believe these are normal scrim partners, so at this point I think they kind of know what the other team is kind of looking to get out of a draft each time. So... we're going to actually see Sonya hovered here. Sonya is extremely strong for the Infernal Shrines, mostly because of the fact of her solo shrine clear is just great because of the fact of if you get her on a shrine and she's the only one, the rest of your team can essentially zone out, especially on that top shrine where there's only, you know, basically 3 entry points. There's left, middle, and right. If your team zones out, and we're going to see the Uther pickup here, but at the same time, that Sonya ban could merit them a Dahaka pick. So we are going to see actually the Ariel Tassadar. I was thinking Dahaka mostly because of the fact of he can be in like bottom lane if the shrine's top. He can soak literally up until the point at which it's triggered, and then he can just come right back in. So I'm wondering if they're going to try and get themselves. But Tassadar Ariel is a strong combination. They've got a really good off healer, and he does some pretty decent damage late game, and a very strong healer to go with that. You can probably expect to see something like a Vala, Tracer, Gul'dan. Gul'dan would actually be really strong here. But on the side of Hedgie and the Hedgettes, Anub'arak is open, and so is Dahaka. 2 viable tank and off tank that you could definitely pick up on this map. As we were already talking about and we're actually going to see Greymane instead of the Anub'arak that I was talking about. Greymane works out perfectly because he's on top of Dahaka, a great solo shriner. So that's extremely important to have that ability. Tassadar does do very well, and Ariel does have some AoE damage that pairs well in for that shrine clearing, but currently on the side of Hedgie and the Jets, they definitely have a strong shrine presence as well as some good CC and control for team fights. On the side of Team B, curious to see what they're going to be banning out here at this point. Because Hedgie and the Jets, they've got their healer, they've got an off tank, they've got their solo laner. Well, they've actually got both solo laners. So banning out the Anub'arak is a smart idea here because you can probably sense that they're going to need to pick up a tank at this point. And then on the side of Hedgie and the Hedgettes, I mean, Gul'dan would be probably a pretty good ban here, but the Vala ban is going to be... Because, I mean, at the same time, Hedgie and the Jets could pick up... They could also pick up Gul'dan themselves. So it's really... I'm curious to see what Team B is going to be getting. It's definitely going to be... I wouldn't be surprised to see something like an Arthas paired in with that Gul'dan. It seems like that's the way that they would want to go. They're going to need a melee assassin on top of that. But definitely... Oh, actually, we're going to see the Lunara picked up here with the Arthas. So I'm like 50-50 on a lot of my predictions at this point. Dahaka and Greymane? Well, I said Dahaka and Anub'arak. So last 2 picks on the side of Hedgie and the Jets. As I was saying, they're going to need a strong tank. They've just got their off tank at this point. And then they can pick up something like a Li Ming here, or as I keep repeating, the Gul'dan, like, he does really, really well. And especially fighting around the shrines, the damage over time that he provides is extremely strong into that backline. And then with that, you can have Greymane diving in there and cleaning up, and Dahaka as well, with his ability to use his Dark Swarm to move through enemy units, so he can actually just walk through the tank. He can walk through the Arthas into that Tassadar Auriel backline and tongue one of them and pull them, forward, which then Uther can stun. And maybe Tyrael? Tyrael would work actually pretty well with the Holy Ground at 16. He can zone with it pretty well, and the Sanctification would be extremely useful. We're actually going to see Brightwing for a secondary global and a Stitches, which is actually going to pair really well together because you have the Uther for the stun, Brightwing for the polymorph, Dahaka for the tongue. So this is definitely a pick comp on the side of Hedgie and the Jets. They're gonna pull apart Team B. But last pick on the side of Hedgie and the Jets, they definitely need a little bit of a stronger front line. So maybe Artanis would be an alright. The blind would be pretty useful against the Greymane Dahaka Stitches. I'm curious to see. I think they're going to definitely need some sort of off tank at this point. I'm leaning more Artanis overall. I think he's going to I think he'd fit really well into this comp with his shielding. He is not the best shrine clear, but he also can pull some of the team apart. But as always, I always forget about D.Va, who can literally just drop her mech and clear a shrine and get at least a few skeletal defenders. All right. People are going to lock in their they're going to lock in their actual heroes at this point. And we'll be moving into our first game of the evening. I don't actually know how many, but we'll figure that out. All right, and on the left-hand side, we are going to have Hedgie and the Hedgettes. We're going to have Rexpa on Greymane. Dahaka is going to be played by Veteran Wings. Stitches will be played by Titan's King. Uther will be played by Caleb Reese, and Brightwing will be played by Hedgie. On the right-hand side, we have Team B with Focus on Tassadar, Amun on Lunara, I Can't Read Your Name on D.Va, Supreme Force on Auriel, and Felix the Cat on Arthas. So overall, looking at this, we're probably going to see Greymane soloing against either a D.Va or I would assume a Tassadar. Then you would want to run the Lunara, Arthas, Auriel together. And that's going to be probably going up against the Uther Stitches and maybe having Brightwing just kind of popping around the map to the Greymane and Dahaka for the extra healing. And stream things that I never do. Change your cursor size so it's itty bitty and no one sees it. All right, so first some first talents here. Looks like we're going to have the standard build from Greymane for the cocktail build. Stitches looks like he's going to go slam build. Brightwing will be taking the increasing range. Brightwing builds, like, I talk with my friend about all the time, so I'm always curious to see what kind of different Brightwing builds come out of people. But the increased range is quite interesting. It really benefits them on the shrine, but I don't know if the cooldown reduction from being able to constantly Z around the map is better of a pick. We'll see how that plays out, though. Tassadar, of course, won a Sassadar. Arthas got his block. Lunara has the reveal for enemies. And it looks like Auriel actually took her cooldown in the sweeping strike. We are going to see an invade. Greymane will be diving onto that Arthas, who is going to get hooked. Polymorph. And this is the thing that I was talking about pulling the team apart. They dropped that Arthas down so quickly, and if they just had a little bit extra follow-up, they would definitely get that pick. Looks like we are going to see a 4-man rotation from the side of Hedgie and the Jets. Is my quick buttons going to work? There we go. On top lane, we're going to have that Dahaka and D.Va matchup, and I always forget that these guys, the standardized rotations at this point, it's you run a 1v1 in top, and then you run a 4-man rotation between mid and bottom. And that appears to be the kind of standard rotations that we're going to see out of these teams. So it looks like they're just going to clear, rotate, and maybe work on a couple of those quests. Tassadar is trying to get a little bit of damage onto that Brightwing. They're going to push up a little bit here. They're just going to clean, and at this point, the experience is pretty even. Looks like that in top lane, Dahaka must have gotten just a little bit extra of a wave or something. No, they're actually starting to fall behind a little bit. So that's what I was curious, is because I was thinking that Team B was doing faster rotations than Hedgie and the Jets, and I thought their experience was going quicker. We are going to see the first shrine in middle popping at this point in 3 seconds. Can look to see Dahaka probably invading that last. He is hiding in this bush to maybe get this D.Va who's out of her mech suit. You're going to see a small skirmish. Tassadar will have his Oracle to see the area around him. And we're actually going to see another rotation out of Team B to definitely try and get that forward. Maybe even a pick onto Brightwing. But Hedgie will have the ability to get out with his Pixie Dust. And it looks like he's going to be fine. He can also stay into that bottom lane, soak as best as he can, and then literally use his Z exactly right now. And what he did actually, he took Peekaboo at this point, so he can see exactly how. Team B is going to rotate. Stitches does get to the hook onto Arthas. It peels him from the team. D.Va is still out of her mech suit. There is the dive from Greymane onto this Arthas, and they are just annihilating him. 5-man onto the Arthas with a 4-man root, though, onto Hedgie and the Jets, dropping them pretty low, and it looks like they're going to have to go back and tap the well. Definitely going to have to get healed up here. But they do have the Shrine advantage currently. Now, this is what I was talking about with the Brightwing cooldown reduction on the Z. With that many people being in the area, actually, we're going to see a hook onto the Ariel. There is the slam and the polymorph and the stun, and she will walk right away again. They just don't have the follow-up damage just yet, but wait till that 7 to 10 period. That combo is going to be devastating. We're going to see a little bit of a push out from the side of Team B with that D.Va mech, but with the 36 on the side of Hedgie and the Jets, it looks like they're probably going to be stealing this this Punisher. Greymane is falling really low here. The Lunara damage actually focused onto the Brightwing instead of following up on the Greymane. Looks at Arthas will be trying to chase down this Brightwing. The roots did miss that first time. Uther does get the stun, which will save. But that is actually going to be a Punisher for the side of Team B. So they did zone them out enough. They're probably going to be losing a gate here at this point. Stitches and Dahaka are way too low for this fight currently. They're going to have to hearth back. Dahaka will have his Z in if he wants, or he can just go and rotate into bottom lane and get some more experience, work for that 7. We're going to see the Punisher baited over finally. They will get the gate, as I was saying. A little bit of damage onto their well, but they will be saving it. We're going to see a rotation out of the Team B. Looks like they're going to go back to their standardized lanes. D.Va is rotating into her top lane. There's going to be a camp on the side of Team B, but there is the Tassadar hook to interrupt that damage onto the gate. Brightwing is there for the potential follow-up, but it's not going to be there. Let's take a quick peek while their people are rotating at some of these quests. Tassadar's almost halfway. Arthas is almost done with his level 4 talent already, which is crazy. Uther's about halfway done with his, actually, and he actually took Hammer of the Lightbringer. That one I did not expect, but with the Brightwing, it does make sense. We're going to see an invade from Team B onto this camp. There's a 3v4, but there is the Uther here who is ready to heal up his team, so double healer. I don't know if they can really contest this. There is the hook out. It does miss, but Lunara gets body blocked by the courageous Uther. Who just basically stood there and took a whole lot of damage. Tassadar does get out with his Dimensional Shift. Greymane will get out with his swipe. And it looks like we're just going to lose the Lunara in that small fight. Rotations come back out from the teams. We're going to see that bottom lane trying to be picked up on the side of Team B. At this point, in my opinion, it looks like that Hedgie and the Jets have gotten their lane control, so what they're doing at this point is they're going to say, alright, we're going to push out these lanes, we have the level advantage, we don't need to race them back and forth, but actually we're going to see rotation onto this 2-man in bottom. The hook does come out, it misses. So we are going to have the next shrine in top, which procs the team to say, you know what, let's get this bottom camp, but at the same time Team B has the same idea, so this is going to be a 3v3. Ariel is here, but I don't know if Brightwing has the enough healing to keep them alive. There is the whip from Ariel to try and get Stitches off of the point. Greymane does have to disengage because he did not have enough health. Uther is here to keep that Greymane alive. He could go back in, but they're fighting so long over this. Lunara will fall as well. Tassadar is going to be rotating in. Looks like we are going to lose the Greymane and the Stitches. There is also going to be the Ariel falling, and this will go over to the side to Hedgie and the Jets, and they're going to come out on top of this. The root does come out, though, onto Haka, which will save that Arthas from getting picked out. Now, I don't know if he has his dig or if he had to use it for this encounter, but it looks like D.Va's just been working up top. I don't know if Veteran Wings has the burrow to get back up into top to harass that D.Va enough, or if they're just going to be giving this over and trying to take the gate down. We're going to see a 3-man rotating into that top lane. Stitches will be coming in onto... Oh, we're actually going to see the D.Va mech that's going to come out. It's going to get pushed out by the Brightwing... excuse me, the Brightwing Emerald Winds, but at the same time, Greymane took a ton of damage from that. At this point, they're going to be zoning them back behind their gate. They do have the advantage, but they don't... The advantage on the Skeletal Defenders, but they don't have their 10s yet, and that is exactly what they are missing in this fight. There is the Gorge from Stitches. He does get whipped into the wall, which will buy a little bit of time to save that Lunara. She turns around and gets the pick onto Stitches, and it looks like we're going to see the Uther getting annihilated here too. He is dead, so he does provide a little bit of healing still to that Greymane. He does dive onto some of the minion wave just to get behind the gate, but at this point, it looks like we are going to see another Punisher on the side of the Team B. They could use that Force Wall just to buy a little bit more time. D.Va will just be slowly working that down. And this is going to be a second Punisher on the side of Team B. And with that being a Frozen Punisher, it is extremely strong here. Some of the team members do have to worry about not getting caught out by its freezing attacks. If they do, they could get collapsed upon by Team B. We are going to see the Greymane in trouble here. The Emerald Wind does come out to save a little bit, but the Leaping Strike will actually confirm the kill onto Greymane, and this is starting to look a little worrisome for Hedgie and the Jets. There is the Force Wall to separate Stitches from his team. The Hop does come out onto the Stitches, and Titan's King will be falling here as well. I will say that, though, there is the isolation on Arthas, and he is just blindly hitting into that front gate. We're going to see this Punisher probably guaranteeing the gate. I don't think they're going to be going for a fort here. There's the stun and the polymorph onto this Arthas, but it looks like he'll get the Crystal Aegis and walk away just fine. Greymane is back. They use the Force Wall to disengage. And at this point, we are going to see just about a level lead from Team B. This is a Lunara could get picked out here. They're going to see her at the last second, but a full disengage from Team B. They're going to get out safe, and they actually will be currently having the structure advantage as well as the kill advantage, and soon to be the talent advantage as well. Things that at this point, Hedgie and the Jets, what they really need to focus on is maybe just pushing out their lanes a little bit, getting a couple camps. That way they can at least have a little bit of focus onto a lane, and then maybe get 1 or 2 picks. And once they can get that pick, it seems like that's the momentum that carries their team at this point. You know, they strive off of that little bit of advantage of just constantly rolling a team over and over again on kills. We're going to see the root come from Arthas. It will not connect. Brightwing will just take a little bit of damage, but it's going to heal right back up. See this long rotation just to get back with the team into bottom lane where they still have a gate. Lunara could potentially scout this out, but it looks like Uther will get the stun. We are going to see the lane just getting standardized pushed out in bottom. It looks like they're just going to work for their 13s. Dahaka's trying to side soak for that before this next altar spawns, and it should be bottom, so Hedgie and the Jets, they are trying to put a little bit of effort into getting this camp right here. There is the Peekaboo from Brightwing and the Emerald Wind to separate the D.Va, and this is exactly what they need. They needed to get that one pick. Now they're going to start picking them apart. They get on the Tassadar. They get on the Lunara. Looks like they're going to be chasing her down. There's the Force Wall for the full disengage, but they're going to work on this gate just a little bit so that way when the Punisher does come through and they hopefully get it, they can they don't have to worry about baiting the Punisher over the gate, and they can actually just push through. But on the same time, on this Team B, Hedgie and the Jets, they have a weak gate as well. So if they get the Punisher, they don't have much to work for either. Lunara's Whip does get a small bit of vision. The hook does come out, only connects on a minion. Arthas will be getting a decent amount of damage onto these skeletal defenders. I think Tassadar did finish his level 1 quest just now. We're going to see some pretty good zoning. D.Va is back into this fight. It looks like Hedgie and the Jets will be zoned out a little bit here. They're going to have to play very safe. And at the same time, with the peekaboo here, we can see exactly where the team is. Dahaka just coming from the back lane. He's trying to get onto that Lunara. Does get the D.Va, and the Greymane is peeling the team apart. The bunny hop does come out. There is the Emerald Wooden for the disengage. D.Va does use her mech explosion. Dahaka will probably have his burrow. No, he's going to take the damage, and Lunara is going to hop right onto him, dealing so much. D.Va's just going to get right back into her mech. The D-shield is on too. The Stitches trying to keep him alive. There is healing coming out, but at this point, once again, oh, nope, there is the hook onto him. The polymorph is there. The force wall to disengage. But once again, it's like they've done it 3 times. Hedgie and the Jets, they have this strong start and they get a couple picks, but then they push in a little bit too far, and then Lunara gets that 1 pick and it just steams roll because they don't get that, that Greymane isn't there for the follow-up damage. And then this is the 3rd Punisher going over to Team B. We're going to see the Punisher jump onto that Stitches, who is baiting. They're just baiting this Punisher straight over to their gate. They're going to say, you know what? You guys can have our fort. We'll kill the Punisher. We don't want to deal with fighting you guys right now. And with that, this is going to be closer to a 16 talent tier advantage for Team B. We're going to see the hook that does come out, but it will just bait the Punisher, which is actually extremely smart here. They're going to get the gate. They bait the Punisher over to the keep, which will take some damage here, but they don't have to take any team losses. This is going to be a 16 to 14 level advantage, though. And it looks like we're going to actually have a little bit of a bush party on the side of Team B. They're waiting for the team to actually... Oh, but it looks like they know right away. They don't see them on the map. Dahaka's in top. Slam does come out and automatically shows them. The root misses. But at the same time, that actually bought them a little bit of time to kind of get closer to that 16 talent tier, just to even it up a little bit. They will get that camp. And it will probably guarantee the healing well right there, which... Oh, actually they get it to go away. So they will save their healing well, but at bottom they will be getting this camp for Team B as well. Uther will have to push this out. And this will probably, with this wave and the top wave that Dahaka is going to be pushing in currently, it's going to guarantee them somewhere... It'll get them their 16 for the next altar. And since we have had 3 spawn already, it could be bottom again, potentially, but we're probably going to be looking at something either mid or top. It's just, it's randomized at this point, but I believe it's stronger to be one of those two. Let's take a quick peek at some of these damage numbers here. The Greymane, 74,000 siege damage already. Or excuse me, not Greymane. The Dahaka. Looked at the wrong portrait. We are going to see Tassadar sieging for 84,000 though. Doesn't even have a global and he's doing better than the Dahaka. And we're going to see Lunara with her hero damage at 51,000. So at this point, it's getting a little rough for Hedgie and the Jets. It looks like on the side of Team B, they've figured out how to control them on this map. Greymane is 1 cocktail away on a hero for completing his quest, and that should round out actually all the quests for every hero. At this point, we're going to be looking to see who can win this over and get to 21st, and that is definitely going to be the key to success in this game right now. They get the level advantage, or they get on the same level as Team B. That way they aren't fighting with this small power disadvantage. The Wisp does come around to get that vision into the backline, so they do know where that Uther is positioned. Brightwing does use the peekaboo here, and it gives them full vision exactly where all the members are. They get the Gorge onto one of the members. Ariel does get hooked. There is the bunny hop out with the Emerald Wind for the disengage. There is the explosion, which Dahaka will burrow. Uther's going to take so much here. And Greymane will actually be falling as well. It looks like Titan's King will be falling too from that Arthas and D.Va combination. Dahaka does get the drag. There's the heal onto him from Uther. I don't know if he can keep him alive. Well, with the Brightwing and Uther, they should be just fine. But once again, that's the double pick that they just needed. They either get the Stitches in Greymane or the Greymane in the Dahaka. And they guarantee this this fourth Punisher, which this one will be really sieging quite hard at this point. This top lane is going to be definitely need to be cleared up. Should be seeing maybe Dahaka after he gets the bottom. Rotating, no, we're going to see the Uther Brightwing. They're just going to go ahead and clear that. And they're just going to go ahead and forfeit this mid fort at this point, it looks like. Looks like Dahaka will just be waiting in bottom just to try and get closer to that 20 advantage. So on the side of Hedgie and the Jets, it actually looks like Team B is going to work down this gate before actually capitalizing on getting the Punisher. But that could prove to be bad for them. They could get wiped here. That is a possibility. They always can send one back just to get a little bit of a kill. There is the Emerald Wind to separate the team. They are just focusing down this Arthas constantly. They really want to get him. But at the same time, they get the Gorge onto the Ariel, who was removed from the fight for a couple seconds there. D.Va is taking quite a bit of damage. We are going to see another drag onto the Arthas. There's the Force Wall for the disengage. D.Va's mech is losing a ton of... She does send her mech right into the gate, which will zone out the entire team. And this is going to be a strong push on the side. Wow, they're being really ballsy with this 39 out of 40. I mean, at the same time, they have so many abilities just to get one little skeletal defender. But just to hold it at 39 out of 40, this is just crazy to me. And I mean, they can see if someone goes in, they get a couple skeleton defenders on the side of Hedgie and the Hedgettes. They can just run in, do some sort of AoE damage, and easily take care of this. I just love D.Va can solo camps. Brightwing does have the face shift, so they can see it, but Tassadar probably will get a Cyclonic Storm, and that will basically get them exactly what I was saying, the Punisher. At this point, we are going to see we're going to see the friendly hook onto the Dahaka, but it also pulls the Arthas as well, who does get isolated from him. That is over already, so it looks like we're going to see a full disengage. They are going to have to take the long way around, but with this kill onto the Brightwing, that will give the 20s to Team B, and it looks like they will be pushing in here with a 20 talent to your advantage. We're going to see the upgrade to Force Wall, the upgrade to the Army of the Dead, the upgrade... Is that Galloping Gate? Yeah, it is. We're going to see D.Va's mecha fail. Yep. And we're going to see the Hope Shield from Ariel. Force Wall does come out from Tassadar, and he can do it, I mean, seemingly every second at this point. We're going to see Stitches go ahead and get the Gorge onto Ariel, but the Force Wall does come out to keep her alive. They bait the Punisher over to the other tower, but Caleb Reese will be falling here. And it looks like they're going to be losing the Greymane as well. They do kill the Punisher. The Force Wall does come out onto the Dahaka. He has his burrow. He can work his way back into the Nexus. Never mind, if there's another Force Wall, he can't. He gets the tongue onto Ariel, but it looks like at this point, we are going to see the Stitches getting... That's what I was saying, the Force Wall like every couple seconds. We are going to see the core for Hedgie and the Hedgettes falling here for the first time, at least on my stream. GG's on the side of Team B. As well as Hedgie and the Jets. Everyone played amazing. Way better than I ever could. All right. And welcome back. We are on our second game here. We are going into Battlefield of Eternity. Someone said in Twitch chat that nice fart, but I don't know. I think I might have left my mic on, but I just went on the floor and started petting my dog. Maybe I belched. We are going to have first pick here on the side of Hedgie and the Hedgettes. Battlefield Eternity, we definitely want to focus on some sort of... you definitely want to... The objective of the map is to burn down the Immortal. And some of the best people at this point... he's not allowed currently. I don't think a lot of people are scrimming with him because he's still... A lot of people are scrimming for the Summer Bash tomorrow. So Mathio won't be really a focus here. But Genji will be banned out. And Genji works pretty strong in this map to dive into that backline. They must have something at this point which would be too squishy to deal with that Genji. Something like... they can definitely pick up the Greymane, who's really strong here. Vala is strong as well. But something in the backline like a Li Ming might be pretty useful here, especially with that poke damage, that if they ever do get pushed off of their Immortals, she can definitely throw out orbs and missiles to at least kind of whittle down the Immortal a little bit, as well as maybe potentially get some resets and snowball a team fight. On the side of Team B, I'm curious to see what they're going to be banning out here. They don't have the first pick, so they could either ban out it's been a kind of big pick lately, the Anub'arak or the Uther. Looks like they're going to hover the Anub'arak. So this leaves it open for Hedgie and the Jets to definitely get the Uther at this point, but they can also take, right away, they can take their Immortal Burner, which at this point it seems like Greymane would be the opportune choice. It'd either have to be between Greymane or Vala. But then again, you could take that Uther. I mean, it's just really, what do you want to let the other team have the Uther, or do you want to take a stronger Immortal Burner? That's definitely what I wonder here. Otherwise, I couldn't really see much of other things being focused for first picks on Battlefield of Eternity. So we are going to see the Vala, as I was talking about. So they're going to go ahead and take that burn. They're probably going to lean into that Q build. I would not be surprised to see something like the Greymane Ariel combo. Then maybe they get the Gul'dan for the later pick. Or just they go Greymane with the Uther. Because if you can just lock down that really good Immortal Burner, that's pretty... You've got a major asset of your team kind of already locked in. But at the same time, Lunara does provide pretty good burn on the Immortal with her poison. But it's a little bit more of a late game. You know, she does need a few talents, at least in my opinion, to push her to the point where she really becomes a threatening asset. Coming to the last seconds here. Definitely leaning towards the support and I would think Greymane, but we're going to see the Ariel, which you can then pair later into the Gul'dan, but they're just going to go ahead and say Ariel Tassadar once again. It worked for them last match. The whip into the force walls like every 2 seconds at the end of that game was just a nuisance. Stitches tried to... I remember Stitches trying to gorge the Ariel, but then getting force walled from walking around his own keep to try and kill the Ariel, but it didn't even work out. On the side of Hedgie and the Jets, you probably expect to see them picking up either another Immortal Burner just to kind of deny that damage, or just going for maybe picking up their healer as well as their tank. That way they can kind of have a little bit of a response to what the bans are going to be coming out, as well as the first pick that's coming out of the second phase. So we're going to see the Arthas. It's a strong tank here with the roots. They definitely have, if they can combo the roots into the Rain of Vengeance from Vala, which will definitely help to
fight to my last breath.
To lock down some heroes. And the slows from Rhaegar are going to be really good, as well as the slight burst that he puts out from his wolf form into, I guess, attacking Rhaegar form. So ban-wise out of Team B, I would not be... They need to focus on maybe getting rid of a strong melee assassin or a strong bruiser that would pair well into this team. The Anub'arak's gone. Uther's still viable, but I don't think they're going to go Rhaegar into Uther. So I think he's just going to kind of get passed on this game. The Greymane's still up, but I think they wouldn't ban that because they do have the next pick, so they're going to try and probably pick it up themselves. But actually, Uther will be banned out here, and I don't think that was worth the ban. The Rhaegar, I think, alone would be good enough. I don't think you're going to pair that into the Uther. On the side of Hedgie and the Jets, they're going to be probably focusing on targeting out some of that damage, as we were talking about, onto the Immortal, or just maybe limiting that tank pool. They've currently got the Arthas. That D.Va was a nuisance last match, and D.Va can just kind of... She doesn't have a good out... oh, we're actually going to see the Lunara ban here. So they're going to try and get rid of that damage. So they're going to say, all right, you pick up the Greymane, or I think they're going to, because at this point... And I know someone actually advised me against this. Someone was saying, someone messaged me and they were saying, oh, you know, like Bloodlust isn't that like worthwhile taking. And I know they're like 100% right, but like it's always fun to imagine. I mean, what if you pick up that Greymane and you pick up another, you know, you pick up Sonya into that and you just go full Bloodlust into it? I don't think people would do it, and I don't think it would work, but it's just fun to see how much. I mean, you could terrorize with that, but I don't think overall you could. The utility that you get out of the Ancestral Healing would be way too useful, especially when you're trying to get into those late game fights where you're pushing Orvala further into that back line to maybe dig out a little bit more damage, especially with the Rain of Vengeance and the stun, or even if she takes strafe and tries to, you know, utilize that in the back line, the Ancestral to pop just to keep her alive during that strafe for the extra damage is extremely useful. But there is the D.Va, and actually they're gonna clap back and say, all right, you played Stitches, we'll play Stitches. I'm wondering if they're going to try and combo this into some sort of force wall mecha explosion with the fishing hook. That would actually be really interesting to see. Them trying to basically say, all right, we're gonna explode the mech, we're gonna hook you back into the explosion, and just watch you kind of get bodied across the map. At this point, Hedgie and the Jets, they want to come back with something. I think at this point, they could pick up, in my opinion, and I'm no professional at this, but I was thinking they could pick up the Greymane and the Gul'dan, and I think that's going to be pretty useful. Stitches doesn't have a lot of mobility, so you can definitely get a lot of corruption stacks onto him. Same with D.Va. I want to say it's going to be Greymane and someone else, and I really want it to be the Gul'dan, but let's see here. We're going to see Greymane and the Varian. So Varian actually way better of a pick than I can think. The taunt that he provides with the extra lockdown, so it looks like on the side of Hedgie and the Jets, they have got so much lockdown for that Greymane to just burst right in there. And they're going to say, all right, well, you kept burning down our Greymane, we'll take Ancestral, so we're going to give Greymane 2 life bars for this match. All right, and then the final pick, they're definitely going to need someone to do some damage to this Immortal, because at this point they've got 2 healers and 2 tanks, and I don't know what you pick at this point, because Greymane's been taken, Vala's been taken, Lunara's banned out. I'm just trying to think, like, who else burns down mortals really well? Okay, Zul'Jin's going to be picked up here. The only reason I stutter for a second here is because of the fact that Zul'Jin benefits from having low health, but you've got this comp where you've got Vala can get into Zul'Jin, Arthas can lock him down, so like it's this, and then like Varian can slow him, Rhaegar can slow him, Greymane can dive, so it's like Zul'Jin, like, yeah, you've got 2 healers, but I don't know if you're gonna get the full utility out of him that you expect. But, all right, loading into our second game of the evening, we are going to have, on the left-hand side, Rexpa on Vala, Veteran Wings on Varian, Titans King on Arthas, Caleb Reese on the Rhaegar, and Hedgie on Greymane. That is Hedgie and the Hedgettes. On the right-hand side, we're going to have Focus on Tassadar, Alman on Zul'Jin, once again a name I can't read on D.Va, Supreme Force on Ariel, and Felix the Cat on Stitches. That is Team B on the right-hand side.
Prepare yourselves for battle, heroes.
All right, and looking into a couple of these first towns, it looks like we're gonna have standardized picks out of most of the people. Q build from Vala. We are gonna see the pro moves from the D.Va. Zul'Jin will be taking his You Want Axe. Stitches, you can assume will go slam build, but I guess he's gonna hold out for a few seconds here.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And it looks like we are going to have the Slam build out of Stitches. We are going to have a small skirmish. Tassadar will be probably using his D at this point. Yep, there is his Oracle, which will give them the vision of the rotations here. There is a hook onto the Greymane, trying to pull Hedgie out of position, but we are going to have Titan's King getting into that back line. Caleb Reese will be trying to keep the team alive. Name I can't read is going to be heckling these people an extreme amount. We're going to have a Varian and Diva in top, and then a 4-man in bottom. We're going to see the hook onto Arthas here. Looks like he will have to rotate the long way. Or he's just going to play it safe. No, he's going to have to rotate the long way just to stay alive. He's going to get zoned out by the enemy team. The Ariel has her crown on Zul'jin, which is actually... The Zul'jin and the Tassadar and the Ariel is going to be so hard to kill. I'm curious to see what's going to be happening with that. We are going to see a small pushback. There's a hook onto the Vala. She will have enough healing. She does have the vault to get out. You're going to see a response damage onto the Zul'jin. They are trying to burn him down, but there is that Tassadar and that Ariel keeping him well alive. Vala does have to vault away just to keep herself alive here. Quickly checking into top. We are going to see Diva pushing into this Varian a little bit, but he will be playing safe here. Looks like he is going to be going full tank build on that. So we're going to have a strong front line once we get to the 10, but until we're going to see the hook onto Arthas. He will have the root out. There is no follow-up damage. Caleb Reese does get onto that front line, trying to get some damage out there. He will be hearthing back just to get full for this engage. I was wondering if Zul'jin was going to have a buzzsaw to get that hearth animation ending, but we're going to have Diva right on to that first Immortal. Be rotating back into her team just to play safe. We're going to have the Rhaegar coming back in here. Varian is trying to level up. Looks like he's going to try and lane up for that 4. Maybe just push up the lane a little bit. He's going to be rotating in. Diva is falling a little bit low here, but we are going to have... Oh, I was about to say the stun on to the Arthas, but he got right out. He is low. He will have to hearth himself. Rhaegar will just get a little bit of healing just to make it easier for him to get that healing in the Nexus, so it will go a little bit quicker. Varian is by himself. He could get hooked. Look like he's going to be Serpentine a little bit just to avoid that. They will trigger the halfway point on the side of Hedgie and the Jets, and this Rhaegar is getting low. He'll have the wolf form to get out and get a little bit of speed. And it looks like at this point they're going to try and race them, but I don't think they have the ability to. You just got a Zul'jin versus a Greymane and a Vala on this? Oof. That is the one thing that I think... on the side of Team B, I think that's what they're going to struggle with. They're definitely going to struggle objective-wise. Team-wise, they're just really hard to kill. They've just got so much health and so many ways of just staying alive. We're going to see this Varian Diva one-on-one back in top, but in bottom, where the interesting things are happening, we are going to see this Immortal with about half shield pushing down this gate. Probably, depending on how this engage goes, as long as no one dies, we're probably going to be guaranteeing a gate here, maybe a well, but I don't think we're going to be looking at a fort unless we do see a death come out. There was the root from Arthas. The healing totem is out just to keep the backline a little bit healthier. It will be falling here, but that is the healing well that I mentioned that will be falling. There is the Stitches, who is a little far forward. He is going to get rooted, and he will be falling. There is the damage coming from this Angel, and it looks like they're going to get about half of that fort. And the reason I was saying that they're not going to get the first four is even though they had an Immortal and a half, basically, it's just so weak early game because it scales over time. So at this point, we are going to see this bottom camp taken by Hedgie and the Jets. Does not look like it's going to get scouted out in time from Team B. Tassadar will have to use his phase shift to get out. The hook is out onto Arthas. It's like a homing missile. Jeez. All right, we're going to be playing safe here. I was just going to say, it looked like Arthas was going in for another engagement, but he's just going to stay right in that healing totem. He's going to be playing safe. He does miss the root on to the Tassadar. He's going to get whipped away. We're going to see the Greymane diving deep into that backline onto that Zul'jin, and that is most of their damage gone. That is the Stitches falling as well, and Tassadar cannot fill that Ariel bar well enough. She does get the whip, which will get a little bit of healing. He does get the phase shift. Arthas is so low, he falls to the minion wave. Tassadar does stay around just to get I think the little bit of experience or something. He's going to hearth back in the middle of the lane, but at the same time, back in top, Varian has pushed the D.Va back far enough where she does need to do Hearth. We should at this point see the Immortal coming up in any second. Basically, it's 1 minute 45 seconds after the last one has died. So there it is exactly. So in 10 seconds we'll be having it. At this point we are going to see Rhaegar going back for full health. Stitches is going to be pushing back this wave, trying to get that 8 advantage as well, just to fight on the same level, because that does matter. There is still significant, damage number differences between 7 and 8, 8 and 9. So we are going to see at this point the Hedgie and the Jets will be burning down this Immortal pretty quickly. They will be on the side of Team B stealing over this camp to push the top lane, but at the same time, if they just go ahead... Oh, no, we are going to see the engage come out. All right. This is going to be a 5v5. Stitches is rotating in, trying to maybe get that backline hook. We're going to see the whip onto the Varian. He will be stunned up for a few seconds, but they are doing a really good job of spreading themselves at this point. It's very hard for Stitches to hook someone when they keep kind of rotating different positions constantly. The D.Va mech actually gets caught in the bush, I think, and it looks like that was a bit of a waste. D.Va is out of her mech. She can just jump right back in, but the Immortal at this point with the poke damage will be falling. Ariel does get the whip onto the Vala. She will be falling at this point, and this is going to be a devastating blow for... Excuse me, I missed that chase. There must have been a hook onto the Greymane. This is a devastating blow for the side of Hedgie and the Jets, because they could potentially lose Immortal here. D.Va does do, out of mech form, she does do a decent amount of damage, but at the same time, we are going to see the Stitches zoning out here. It's just so close. It sucks. Whenever you're playing a game, I know this feeling. You're so close, but then the enemy team wipes you and you end up losing. But it looks like they're going to go all in onto this. They actually get a lot of damage onto that Stitches. He will be healed up by the RL, but they cannot follow it up because... they get the kill onto Stitches, but they lose the Immortal by 612 health. So it's going to be a first Immortal on the side of Team B. It is the second Immortal, is a little bit stronger, but at the same time, they don't have their 10s, and they have 2 down. So this push is going to be extremely weak on the side of Team B. Look to maybe see a gate lost here, potentially. We're going to see this aggressive positioning from man I can't name, or woman I can't name. I don't know who you are. But as I was saying, they're going to lose maybe a gate here, maybe a couple towers. But they definitely burn that down. That's the benefit of their comp currently. Rhaegar was in top that entire time. Healer versus healer. We're going to see this camp once again being picked up by Hedgie and the Jets. We are going to see a 5-man rotation actually into the top lane to potentially get a gank on this Rhaegar, but he is going to play safe behind his gate. He will have to Hearth back just to get full mana. Does see that the rest of the team is there, so he's just going to play safe and Hearth further back, or just maybe wait and get some experience. It looks like he's just going to soak this wave. He's going to have to get back eventually, though, for mana, because there should be an Immortal spawning within the next about 30 seconds, I believe. Arthas does go in for this aggressive flank. His team is there. The Curse Bullet is out. Greymane does dive in. There is the Unkillable from Zul'jin. He doesn't really get a pick with it. There is the death. There is the bunny hop. They do actually get the pick onto Ariel and Stitches. D.Va's mech is so close. They get this camp, but at the same time, they lose 3 people, and there's a significant level advantage for Hedgie and the Jets. And they can definitely push into this fort, and with the Immortal coming up in the next couple of seconds here, this is going to be a strong push, because it looks like they'll be pushing onto a fort, maybe just to keep gate. They're going to take out the lane sustain here. I don't think they're going to stay for the fort, though. I don't think they have time for that. Yep. The Team B is here. They get their regen gloves to get before getting out of there. The hook does come out onto Arthas. He was a little bit low. There is no Ancestral's healing. They end up getting another kill onto Zul'jin and the Stitches. This could be another fall from Ariel. There is the root onto her, and this is what I was talking about, getting those snowbally team fight that I see out of Hedgie and the Jets the last time I casted them. They get one pick and they just continue to push into a team, and they get a pick after pick after pick. And at this point, with the comp that they have with the Greymane, Rhaegar, and Vala onto this Immortal, I mean, you can already see Varian didn't even rotate in time. He gets 2 basic attacks, and the Immortal's already fallen by Rhaegar and Vala, and also Greymane too. So with the team full and back up, they are a talent tier down, but they can potentially take maybe a pick if they get a good hit Tassadar does have the vision onto the team. They are going to go ahead and just take this camp, and it looks like they're going to go ahead and give up a full shielded Immortal. This will be pushing into this top lane. They're going to guarantee the fort. There is an invade on the side of Hedgie and the Jets, but they will get the camp before this. This is an aggressive invade, but they do have the talent tier advantage. The taunt does come out onto the Zul'jin. There is the dive from the Greymane. The Bunny Hop is out to zone out, keep them from getting that pick, but at the same time, D.Va is a little far forward. The hook does come back out onto the Varian. There is the Force Wall. He is protected. He is body blocked by so many, but there is the Ancestral from Rhaegar, which keeps him alive. We are going to see the dash and the taunt onto the Tassadar. He will have to back here, but at this point, D.Va does get her mech out. Valo and everyone will be... The hook actually pulls it back in and gets the Arthas. He was just out of the barrier, but the friendly hook onto the mech secured that. But meanwhile, in top lane, this Immortal's just been pushing for free. So they got a pick or two, but at the same time, I don't think that was really worth it. They'll lose a gate here, which maybe that benefited them pretty well. They don't have to fight under the Immortal, so that does work out for them decently. So I guess does counter what I was thinking. But at this point, we will see this bottom camp is definitely going to be picked up. They cannot rotate this in time. And as well, we'll probably see this mid camp picked up. Maybe they're going to... No, I think they're not going to... I was going to say maybe they'll wait for it, but it looks like they're just going to go ahead, pick these up, regroup, probably go for this top camp. They're going to want to create as much aggressive pressure and posturing as possible. Actually, we're going to see Varian staying in bottom. He could get hooked here. He will be hooked, but there is no follow-up damage on him. He has the protect. Arthas is there. Vala is rotating with Rhaegar. They don't know that, though. We are going to see that Tassadar is top currently. He did Hearth back. There is the root onto the Stitches and the D.Va. The slow from the Putrid Bile, though. Titan's King just got slowed so bad because he was running right into it. They didn't have the root or the follow-up damage. They will have to back off here, but they can just rotate into that top lane, get this camp up here, get some decent push pressure, and the Immortal will be up fairly soon right after that. Looking into these damage these damage stats. Whew, that Greymane. As well as that siege damage, too. Stitch is doing a amazing job actually out damaging his entire team, and this is what I was talking about, that Zul'jin I was so confused by. You have one guy putting out the majority of your damage. He's such a low health pool, and the Toss Dingo is just on a well-coordinated team like this. I don't think the Toss Dingo really works too well, but this is all just my opinion. We are going to see a rotation in they're going to regrouping from Hedgie and the Jets. Looks like we're going to see we're just going to see a safe rotation from Team B. They're going to go ahead and clear this top wave. Meanwhile, though, Hedgie and the Jets will be burning down this Immortal quite quickly.
I must find another way.
All right. With our halftime show here, we are going to see even talent tiers finally for Team B and Hedgie and the Jets. We are going to see an invade here from Team B. They are going to get the hook onto the Rhaegar. There is the Force Wall. There is the stun, the whip, and that is exactly the pick that Team B needed to kind of control this fight just a little bit. Stitches did use Putrid Bile, kind of anticipating some sort of fight, but that is a 60-second cooldown, I believe. They will put their Zul'jin onto that enemy Immortal to try and get a little extra damage. But we are going to see the Fala get whipped and stunned and then just lasered down. Greymane is slowed by D.Va, but there is no follow-up damage to get that kill. D.Va's actually all by herself at this point. Greymane does have the ability to come back in. The friendly hook actually pulls that a little bit away from the enemy team. She does have her mech once again because she is that... Oh, we're going to see the Force Wall into the whip. And these are the single kills that Team B needed. They needed this Force Wall whip combination. The Force Wall wasn't in time there, and it actually saved the Greymane there. But at the same time, as I kind of made fun of or said how bad it was, that Zul'jin, they did, he soloed that Immortal, and they got a half-shield Immortal. So this will be the second Immortal. So it's been, I believe it's 2-2. I just realized that I didn't even change my screen. My mistake. We are going to see that it is 2-2 for the Immortals. This is going to be stronger than the last because they do scale over time. We're definitely going to see this fort falling. Slow rotation on Stitches, though, which will give a little bit of an advantage, but at the same time, they don't know where that backline hook could be coming from. Without the minion wave to kind of hide behind, They need to stay outside of that range from the hook. We are seeing him. There's the Oracle from Tassadar, but they are going to play safe behind the gate. Once they get this gate down, that you expect to see a hook come out. There is the Force Wall. Probably going to see a whip, but D.Va's mech will be dunked into that keep. There is the... I was wondering to see if... if we were going to see the hook come out. There is the Curse Bullet. The Stitches does get slowed. He gets Aegis. There is the Ancestral onto the Arthas, and they start to turn this fight around. D.Va does have her Bunny Hop, which will slow the enemy team from potentially chasing after them. The Force Wall does disengage them pretty well, but they mount right up and they go for this fight. It's aggressive posturing from the Varian. They know the D.Va mech is low and she doesn't have the self-destruct. They will kill it if they do get this. Ooh, do they scout out her in the bush? No, they're going to go ahead and just steal this camp. So D.Va gets out fine, but they do lose their camp. So they, Hedgie and the Jets get this aggressive posturing for the camp. And at this point, what they can do is, since they're going to have to force the rotation out of the enemy team. Oh, this Tassadar is all by himself. He does have the phase shift. The Force Wall does come out. Greymane does dive in. There is the whip to try and get them out of there. There is the taunt onto the Arl, and this is exactly the fight. I keep saying it for both teams, but this is the fight that Hedgie and the Jets needed on their side. They are, now that they have both of the healers are killed, they can push into this keep and guarantee catapults onto that bottom lane. And I will stress this, Team B didn't capitalize on this low keep, and they don't have catapults in top. And with the push that they actually have with this Shaman, it pulled the D.Va away long enough where they can get the kills, get the keep, and now they can spread themselves thin across this map to get these camps aggressively with the timing of the Immortal. But we are going to see Zul'jin here. He is by himself. Rhaegar does sniff it out, but he could be with another player. You don't know this. So we are going to see Greymane getting this camp as well. So they are creating exactly what I was saying. They're creating so much lane pressure at this point that Team B has to respond to it. And if they don't, we're going to be looking at a Winions game or definitely another keep falling just to minions. So they're going to time this out just a little bit with the Immortal, so it's going to spawn at the same time. So they're going to kind of stagger these down the lane. Greymane will be having to tap well, but we are going to see Tassadar going straight on to the enemy Immortal. D.Va will be flying in here. She does just... she has her... she actually has the Bunny Hop, and she probably will be comboing this into her mech explosion. So they will be trying to go through this gate, exactly what I was thinking. Varian does actually go in for the engage instead of running away. They are going to chase down the Zul'jin. He does pop Toss Dingo, and he's actually using it to run away instead of getting some extra damage out, which is going to be saving him, but at the same time, there is still the chase onto him. He could, the Force Wall for the disengage, which is extremely helpful. They do keep 3 of their members alive. And with that disengage, we are going to see another Immortal going on to the side of Hedgie and the Jets. And with that also, as I was saying, in bottom lane, they stagger these so well, it timed in with 2 of these catapults. And that's going to be enough pressure where they're going to say, all right, we have to defend this or we give up our Immortal. And it looks like they gave up the Immortal. So this is going to be a fully shielded Immortal at about 18 minutes pushing onto a keep. And it looks like... okay, I was going to say, Tassadar, he had a Force Wall. But he can do it every, like, 6 to 8 seconds. So with this, they are creating... they're forcing Team B to decide on defend our top lane or defend our bottom lane. And it looks like they're going to push into bottom lane. They will defend their bottom lane. Force Wall does come out. They are just kind of push them back at this point, waiting for that Immortal to get right up to that keep. So we are going to see some safe posturing. They're just going to wait for the Immortal. Once they respond to the Immortal, then they're going to come right back into this core. And it looks like they're just doing this aggressive backdoor because they say, all right, well, you either have to deal with us or deal with the Immortal. And Rhaegar does get the dive over the wall. D.Va does have to go back to the core. But the Stitches is so far forward. The Curse Bullet does come out. He is going to fall here. D.Va does get her mech out. Ooh, Varian does not have... actually has another protect the last second. The Ariel does get locked down. There is the Ancestral onto the Arthas. Hedgie is getting targeted by the laser, but he will be able to get right from that damage. The Immortal is going to walk straight up and say, I got too much health for this, so I'm just going to end this game. The Toss Dingo actually does come out and gets the counter kill onto the Varian and the Vala, but at the same time, that's a big old Immortal. GGs are thrown out, and that is our second game of the evening.